It's also kind of a bad choice, I think, to have the worst accent in America talk through the entire movie. The Midwestern accent is just the worst.
I like it.
Chicago.
No, I hate the Midwest accent.
But she honestly, like, she was my favorite part of the movie.
Really?
Like, she was cracking me up. I love how she just finds herself in this world. Like, you never get any backstory about, like, parents or, like, former friends or anything like that. Like, I just, I went to this bar and I don't know. Like, he just rolled with it.
How uncomfortable is that to go walk into a bar as a girl like that in, like, a motorcycle gang bar?
Exactly. Like, because what they're kind of getting at is, like, motorcycle gangs aren't, like, a thing, are they, at this point? I don't know.
Not really.
Because the first year this movie takes place is what, 1965?
Yeah, it's in the 60s, I believe.
Or like 63, 65? Something. I don't know why it's one of those two.
Early on.
So that look, that greasehead look,
yeah,
we know that's like the 50s look. So I don't know if like motorcycles were coming out like 55 or 60. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it kind of shows you how motorcycle gangs started off as a fun way for guys to hang out, and then it just kind of corrupted itself into this like criminal thing.
Yeah, so I'll kind of take from there, because that was my favorite part of this movie, was that you've got this gang of tough guys, and like some of them you can tell are for real. You got Austin Butler and Tom Hardy and Benny and Johnny, and then you got like some of these other guys. One of them actually played Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
Well, he's like kind of like a buttoned up dude. He's married to the Asian woman, and like she's loving the whole like, oh, we look badass or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can tell he's not.
Right.
So I just love the idea that you've just got this mix of dudes, and it is like it's kind of good fun. Like, sure, they'll go to a field and
maybe get in a fist fight.
Yeah, they'll get hammered on moonshine and go fight like a rival gang.
Right.
But then they have drinks with them afterwards. Like, they pick them up. It's like, dude, I didn't scratch your bike. Like,
right.
What. But then all of a sudden people start dying, and one of these guys like, I got to be a cop.
Yeah.
Like, only just, oh shit. Like, what the fuck?
It's kind of cool because I guess it resembles again real life, where it becomes something you don't recognize anymore, and we don't recognize any of the characters. All the newbies, we don't even get to like know them. Like, we don't know any of the new guys' names, even though they get shown on screen more often throughout it. Like the guys that beat up the guy that becomes the cop at the end, or I'm sorry, towards the middle. He has like 666 on his jacket.
Yeah, oh, wait, is this the one of the new guys?
Well, yeah, when they're standing around the fire.
He has 666?
Yeah, he has a 666.
Like, dude, this
patch.
really isn't, this isn't funny anymore.
We're just kind of driving around and hanging out.
That's
What's
the
going
devil.
on?
Like, every once in a while, like, I'll flash the bird to somebody, or flip the bird to somebody, like, what the fuck? Like, you're satanic. You're doing heroin in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You just got back from Vietnam. We all know how fucked up that was.
Right. Now you're going to come run this gang.
Like, that was kind of cracking me up. They're like, dude, these people from Vietnam are not okay.
No, they're all fucked up. I mean, because I guess just people that are drawn to it are just rough guys that, I guess, own a motorcycle. So it just turns into this just corrupted machine that you can't really stop. And they show it, but that's my biggest problem, is that they don't really show the progression. They take you along the progression, but you don't get to like see it unfold of how it got corrupted. It just happens.
Like, Johnny started out as a family man that just got inspired by a movie. And he's got a wife and 2 daughters. And by the time he dies, he still is expected to bring, milk and eggs back.
Yeah.
For breakfast the next day. It was like, wait, Johnny has been doing some really serious shit. Like, y'all live in like a nice house. Like, this isn't affecting anybody. Like, everybody's cool with, dad, like, just being gone for God knows how long on a motorcycle.
Yeah, always drinking.
Yeah, like, fucked up, everything. And like, it's clearly like a small town vibe they got going on here. So like,
yeah, they got feel.
You know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how are they not gonna dive deeper into that?
You're right. There's
You
much.
know?
There's so much potential in this story with these bike riders. Let's see the inner workings of like how they operate. It's just you see one meeting and it's like barely a meeting, and then one guy challenges them and they fist fight, and that's kind of the only thing you really see with how the world works.
Yeah.
I've never been able to like really pin down why I don't like true story movies, but this is a good example.
Why?
Like,
Can't really.
that's what I mean. I
pin
can't.
it
This is why. This
Yeah.
But y'all like Killers of the Flower Moon? Did y'all not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of different.
Scorsese.
I'll give you all
Kinda,
that.
he kind of gets the benefit of the doubt
Yeah.
up front.
Okay. I
Like
guess
you'll
that's
be.
true.
I guess maybe you'd be willing to take a longer journey because you feel like it'll pay off at the end.
I don't know.
This movie took a really long journey to start. Like the beginning, I'm like, holy shit, let's get on with it. Holy fuck. Let's get into some action. Like it's been like 30 minutes and like I don't even know what the conflict is. I don't even know what the conflict is right now. I guess it was them trying to take over the gang.
Yeah, it's
There's
just
no, like,
it's,
battle.
It's just the inevitable. Like you want to start a group of like rough riders.
Yeah.
Well, some actual rough people are gonna take over and like, they're gonna start killing people. I like the aspect of whenever you challenge somebody in the gang, the question's always like fists or knives, but everybody's like fists.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want to kill you.
yeah. Like, but then Tom Hardy like asks the kid, he's like, fists or knives? He's like, knives. And I feel like for me, I kind of saw that. Like, okay, we lost. Nobody has ever said knives to me.
But he looked ready. When he came up to that battle, he looked ready. He
I
had his
think
brass knuckles. He had his knife
knew
out.
at that point. Obviously, like he'd lost kind of Benny too.
He's kind of tapping out. You see him start to tap out of the
like,
gang.
I'm tired. And the guy who I thought I was grooming to take over actually ended up being exactly what I admired him for being, which is somebody that doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And so but I don't know. Like, I don't know, Benny. Like, I think you could do it. Benny's like, stop asking me, old man. Like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give orders.
Which is, yeah. So like with his character too, with Austin Butler's character, in the beginning, he's like the most aggressive one that's he's the one that's kind of starting the chaos. And then when it like starts to keep going, he's like, oh no, this isn't for me. I didn't sign up for this shit. It's like, motherfucker, you started this shit. What do you mean?
We just shot a guy.
Well, before that, I'm saying like
It was your gun.
in the very beginning, whenever Tom Hardy's, they're having a nice conversation about their
yeah.
gang because he was all pissed about the scratch and they're just like chit chatting. He runs up and starts the fight. It's like he's the one that kind of started the aggression in the gang.
Yeah, but
The clubs.
like I
Not
said,
a gang yet, the club.
You could just kind of tell like nobody was gonna be packing a pistol or bringing out knives or anything like that. Like, I don't know. There's just it's guys in a field, and you can just kind of tell.
You also
at that
don't.
point.
They also don't really explain why it's corrupting. Why? Like obviously the people from Vietnam are coming. They're fucked up. They're on drugs and stuff. But like, why does it diving into crime?
I think
You
it's
never
just-
see it.
It's advertising, kind of that. Like I said earlier, just like a rougher lifestyle, rougher lifestyle.
Yeah, just tough.
Rougher lifestyle. I don't know why I got caught up on that. A rougher lifestyle, but then these guys don't really come from the rough, or at least at this point in their lives, they're not. A lot of these guys have families.
Yeah.
They go back home, like they have jobs. But that's how it gets corrupt is, somebody that, like the kid who ends up, killing Johnny. Spoiler. Kills Johnny. Like he actually comes from the rough. Like his
Right.
parents fear him. Like his parents beat on him and they beat on each other
Yeah.
and he beats them up. Like that's a fucked up life. So he
yeah.
thinks that's what they are, but they're not.
Yeah, because like whenever that scene, you see that kid turn and he like sees the bike gang and you realize that's what he wants to do is becoming this bike gang. They just drove through town like badasses. But why does that? I don't really feel like it makes sense for why does that incite violence in that kid? He's like, oh my God, those guys are so fucking tough. Bashes in the headlight of the guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I just feel like they didn't do a good job of telling that story.
I mean, it's definitely like appearances too. I mean, he's probably used to small town folk, like your everyday person, like kind of buttoned up, khakis, going to work. If not, maybe you're still in like some kind of uniform. But like these guys are not. They're independent. They should be at work, but they're riding motorcycles during the middle of the day.
Yeah, they all had jobs, but they never seemed to go to work.
Yeah, I'm so confused on the.
Just every
There's
day.
just a lot of unanswered questions in this movie. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, and it kind of just represents like a photo book. Like it's kind of like you just watch the experience. You don't get to watch it unfold. You only get the flashes of what happened.
Yeah,
Just like service level stuff.
yeah. It was kind of just making me laugh a little bit, like Austin Butler and what's the main actress's name?
Jodie something.
Jodie Comer.
Yeah.
Comer.
Comer. Jodie.
Calmer.
Is it Comer?
Comer.
Can't be Comer.
Comer.
Jodie Comer, like their first fight, like in the hotel room.
Comer.
Okay.
Another option. Choose from.
True. Like when they're just in the hotel room, and her and Austin like are getting into like a fight, and Austin's like, "I'll leave." Like, I don't want you to. Like, I'm gonna leave. I don't want you to. Too bad. I'm gonna do it,
Yeah.
and it's just like, is he gonna do it? Does she really care? What's happening? Like,
Yeah.
are y'all really married?
Right.
It's just weird. Like everything just fell so flat for me in this movie.
Because like the movie is centered around her and her relationship to Benny, and then watching how that changes, how their relationship has conflict because of the way the club is like deteriorating. But we don't really, or we're not sold on their relationship. Like she likes him, they get married in 5 weeks, and then like that's kind of it. You don't really see like any scenes of them like getting close together. You don't really root for their relationship much. Like in True Romance, we were talking about when we watched it, that gets you hooked on their relationship ASAP. Where you're like all in on them being together. This movie, they did a bad job of like having them be close in the beginning.
The only thing that I can try and make sense of, like in that regard, is like because it's through her interpretation of how things went, it could be kind of entertaining to think about, like, because how nonchalant she is when she's talking about a lot of this stuff. Like, this whole movie is told like through her imagination. So like when everything's like kind of just like boring and sped up and like no connection, it's because that's just how she saw it.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, I don't know, Johnny got shot. That was it. Like,
Yeah.
like that wasn't anything big. He just got shot, walked away. So I kind of like, now I'm thinking, well, what if it's all just because of how she saw it?
Yeah. And it's also not
Everything was just so casual.
like her point of view is not the most interesting point of view to write the story from.
Correct.